The thing in the fog. The Smoky Mountains had a way of swallowing sound. Even in daylight, the thick mist rolled between the trees, curling around trunks like ghostly fingers. It was a place of old stories, whispered warnings, and things that didn't belong on any map. For Sam, Mark, and Mark's 12-year-old son, Jesse, the mountains were a weekend retreat, a place to breathe air that wasn't stained with city fumes. But for Mark's old friend Caleb, this trip was something else entirely. Caleb wasn't just an outdoorsman. He was a cryptid hunter. He had spent the last decade chasing rumors, staking out swamps, combing through grainy videos of things that shouldn't exist. His latest obsession? The Dogman. Mark had rolled his eyes when Caleb suggested the trip. I just want to get Jesse into hiking, man, not chase campfire stories. It's not just a story, Caleb had insisted. Up here, near the Tennessee-North Carolina border, there are reports. People see something. It's got the body of a man, but the head of let me guess, a dog? Despite his skepticism, Mark had agreed. The three of them set out along a seldom-used trail, the kind marked by fading blazes and half-buried footprints. Jesse, eager for adventure, soaked up every word of Caleb's stories. By dusk, they found the cabin. It was just as the hunters described. Old, isolated, and abandoned. It looked like it had been built 100 years ago and forgotten just as long. The walls leaned, the door hung open, and something had clawed deep gouges into the wood. See that? Caleb said, tracing the marks. That's not from a bear. That's something bigger. Mark wasn't convinced, but Jesse was wide-eyed. The night set in quickly, swallowing the forest in a heavy silence. The three of them lit a fire inside the one-room cabin, rolling out their sleeping bags on the splintered floorboards. Then they heard it. A low, rumbling growl. Not far, circling. Jesse clutched his sleeping bag. Mark grabbed his rifle. Caleb, breath hitching, peered through the broken window. Something's out there. Then it hit the cabin. A force, like a wrecking ball. The walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The fire flickered as the whole structure groaned under the impact. "Get back!" Mark shouted, yanking Jesse behind him. Another slam, this time against the door. Something massive, something furred and hulking, was testing the structure. The Bigfoot. It wasn't like the ones in documentaries. Shy, elusive creatures. This thing was angry. Its breath fogged the broken window. And then, a black, gnarled hand with fingers too long reached through the shattered frame. Caleb grabbed his hunting knife. Mark raised his rifle, but before he could fire, the creature ripped the door off its hinges. It stepped inside. The firelight threw jagged shadows over thick, matted fur, yellowed fangs, and red, gleaming eyes. It let out a snarl, deep and wet, like a growl bubbling up from a throat full of blood. "Run!" Caleb shoved Jesse toward the back of the cabin between himself and Mark. Then, howls. Dozens of them. The Bigfoot's head snapped up. A pack of wolves emerged from the trees, their eyes glowing in the darkness. They weren't just watching. They were hunting. The beast turned to face them, letting out a furious, guttural roar. It charged outside. The wolves met it head-on, a chaotic explosion of fur, fangs, and fury. Mark grabbed Jesse and ran. Caleb hesitated just for a second, watching the massive shadow of the beast writhing in the firelight. Then he bolted. The three of them ran through the trees, branches tearing at their clothes, lungs burning. Behind them, the howls continued. Then, silence. They stopped, gasping for breath, ears straining. Did the wolves kill it?" Jesse asked, voice trembling. Caleb's face was pale. He shook his head. "Number, those weren't wolves." Mark frowned. "What are you talking about?" "We saw them." Caleb pointed toward the ridgeline just beyond the treetops, where a single silhouette stood against the moon. It wasn't a wolf. Tall, too tall, broad shoulders, a hunched frame, clawed hands, and the head of a massive, snarling canine. The Dogman. For a long moment it didn't move. Then slowly it nodded. Not at the Bigfoot's corpse, at them. Caleb's voice was barely a whisper. "It saved us." The Dogman turned, vanishing into the mist, as if it had never been there at all. None of them spoke the rest of the way down the mountain, but when they reached the car, Jesse finally broke the silence. "What if we go back?" he asked. Marsh shot him a look. "Why the hell would we do that?" Jesse hesitated. "To thank it." Caleb stared at the darkened ridgeline, heart still hammering. "Yeah," he murmured, "maybe one day." They drove off, leaving the cabin, the beast, and the legend behind. But deep in the woods, under the moonlight, a lone howl echoed through the smoky mountains. And this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a promise.